Hi, I'm James Wedding, a Senior Technical Specialist with Autodesk. Over the last few videos in this series, you saw my coworker John Sayre prepare our site and evaluate existing conditions. In this session, we'll actually start the design. I'm going to use the InfWorks 360 toolset to lay out a preliminary subdivision concept. I'll use the road design tools to lay out roads in both horizontal and vertical, adhering to engineering standards, and then use the analysis tools to check for rough lot spacing, and I'll also create a road style that helps me get an approximation for the lot count. Then we'll take that design to Civil 3D and use the partial creation tools to fill in the lots and blocks, making a lot plan that we show off and color code back in InfWorks 360 for discussion with our client. That sounds like a lot of work, but the entire process took me less than 30 minutes, and you're going to see it all in less than 10. Let's get started. Here you can see the site that John prepared for me. And now, I've also had a little bit of input in that we're only going to work with the portion west of the swale as phase 1, so that's all we're looking at today. Now, the hard part is that some of these pieces are going to run about 3 or 4 times as fast as normal so we can get through the whole process, but I'll try and point out the important parts. I start by creating the westernmost entrance road using the road design tools for a local road. Local road sets the design speed for me and determines horizontal and vertical curve configuration. I add in a second road in the middle, creating a simple T intersection, and since these two don't intersect right off the bat, I pivot InfWorks down, right-click on that first road, and I can add in a PVI, allowing me to adjust the vertical design right in the model. Now, I'll add in a third road along the eastern swale, following the north property line, and my first concept is done, and I can begin making some adjustments. Now, first, I modify the middle road, because I actually want to take this up to the northeast instead of bending west. And then I'll take that easternmost road and make it follow that northern property line. And I can use the measurement tools, I can adjust the radius, I can adjust the way these pieces come together using the grips right inside the model to get a configuration that makes me pretty happy. Now, I'll start adjusting vertically because I want to follow, at least at first pass, pretty close to natural terrain. I'm an engineer, I like working in profiles, so I select the road and I open up the profile view under the road design toolset. Using the grid, using the profile view, I can move PVIs, I can right-click and add in additional PVIs, and those vertical curves are being added based on that 30-mile-an-hour local road design speed. Once I've tweaked all these out, I also want to take a look at an option of a roundabout up in that northeast intersection. I simply select the intersection, open up the card, and notice that I have an option for roundabout instead of the cross intersection there. Pick on the roundabout button and it will give me a list of options. I look at a couple of different configurations and really this doesn't work in this subdivision, so I'm going to revert back to the T. Now let's build a road style that helps me get a feel for lot count and spacing. I open up the style palette and copy the existing sidewalk road style. Double-click the new style and you can make changes to the road components that build up the style. I'm going to modify the widths and then add in a new green space segment on the outside of the sidewalk. Next, I'll open the decoration dialog and add in a flag to help me understand where lot corners might fall, and a blue balloon to help me see potential house locations. Use the spacing and offset values in the decoration dialog to control the relative placement of these 3D objects in comparison to the road centerline. Now, close out the dialog box and we can use this style in our subdivision to help understand our design better. Now that I've got a style created, I simply drag and drop that style onto my design roads and they update. By using this style in conjunction with the measurement tools and other analysis tools, I can modify my layout looking for some design optimization. Let's skip over the rest of my tweaks and open this model up in Civil 3D to work on the more precise lot layout. To open this model in Civil 3D, I set a coordinate system and use the Insert InfWorks 360 Model tool. This lets me select an area of interest, brings in the surface, road layout, and then it would also bring in any pipe network or coverages that I've created. Now, there will be a couple of extra surfaces from the roads and proposed grades, but I typically delete them during the preliminary design to make the display a little bit clearer. Now, using standard Civil 3D parcel tools, I'll create a layout for my subdivision. When I'm ready to go back to InfoWorks to display these lots on sort of a typical lot plan and maybe add in landscape and color, I need to actually output the parcels. The one unusual thing I have to do at this point is to use the Export Civil 3D Objects to SDF tool from Output ribbon. Simply give the command a file name and let it create an SDF file. Now, later in the design process, we'll use the drawing itself, the DWG, the Civil 3D DWG, in InfoWorks 360. But right now, we really just need the SDF, the spatial file. With that file made, let's jump back to InfoWorks to communicate this design more effectively. Back in InfoWorks, I need to add in that SDF file to show off my lots. Now, personally, I think it's best practice to create a new proposal to keep things easy to manage, and then I simply drag and drop the SDF file onto my model. The one thing you'll want to note here is that I simply click OK in the resulting dialog. This will give me two data sources to play with, the alignments and the parcels. Now, the alignments I don't need right now because they're redundant, but double-click the parcels to bring up the configuration dialog and set them as coverages and select a display style. This gives me a great visual of my Civil 3D parcel and my lot lines right inside of InfoWorks. Now I can use the same style methodology that I used before to add in things like some landscaping or some gray color over the entire right-of-way, trees along the lot lines. And I can color code the oversized lots to help my client understand where they sit within the overall property. Now, if this lot layout changes, and we all know it will, I simply update the SDF file, or I create a second proposal from a second SDF and give my customer an easy comparison tool. In both cases, I've created a concept and an exhibit in a matter of minutes, a task that I previously would have suggested takes hours or even days. Thanks for watching. Next time, we're going to look at setting up a couple of these lots to use as the builder's office, including a small parking lot and a bit of landscaping. See you then.